The main characters in the scene are Juliet and the nurse, and it takes place in Juliet's room. The scene occurs when the nurse calls Juliet, and during the balcony scene. The tone of the scene is lighthearted, with the nurse in the scene, but disheartening for Juliet at the same time, since she finds out that she's being forced to get married to Paris.
Juliet, where is she now?
What is it, nurse?
Oh, I've got great news for you, Juliet. Finally, the day has come. Though you were not yet 14.
Nurse?
Oh, you grew up so quickly. I remember breastfeeding you when you were just a few months old.
Nurse?
Oh, and the time you fell over, you must have been just a year old. Oh, and a little pretty face.
Nurse?
Yes, my dear, what is it?
What is it you have to tell me?
Oh, it is fantastic news. I was walking past your parents' chamber, and I heard them discussing your marriage. Your father plans to get you married to Paris this Thursday. Your father's testing Paris right now to see how far he will go to get you married. And right he is, finding such a fine man is rare.
But I am too young.
Oh, I lost my virginity at 12. 13 is a fine time to get married. And besides, Paris is handsome. Oh, I remember my wedding night. Oh, my husband, God rest his soul. He was such a good man.
I would marry no one else besides Romeo.
Romeo's good. Okay. Oh, and Paris is so hot. I remember last year at the tournament, and he was shirtless. His chiseled abs. Oh, and from the looks of it, he's great in bed. He has such a great head of hair. So does his father. And at his age, oh, you can really tell how a man will look like from his father. You were so lucky to have such a man. Tall, dark, and handsome.
Nurse!
Oh, I must go. Remember, dear, Paris is a great man, and you're lucky to marry him.
And yet my love for Romeo will never die. Romeo and I must be married tomorrow, if we should ever be together.
The scene is meant to explain Juliet's sudden change in Act 2, Scene 2, when she tells Romeo that their relationship is, quote, too sudden and too rash. But when she talks to the nurse, she comes back and says, if, quote, you want to marry me, send word tomorrow. Since she changes her mind about her relationship while talking to the nurse, something the nurse said influenced her to change her mind. In my scene, the nurse tells her that her father, quote, decided to get her married to Paris this Thursday. And Juliet decides that, quote, Romeo and I must get married tomorrow if we are ever to be together. This scene also explains why Capulet changed his mind to force Juliet to get married to Paris in Act 3, Scene 4, when he told Paris that my permission is only part of her decision in Act 1, Scene 2. Capulet's decision to let her decide if she wants to get married is rare during this time, and it seems irrational for Capulet to suddenly change his mind over Tybalt's death and being drunk. In my scene, the nurse tells Juliet that her father decides to get her married to Paris this Thursday, after overhearing her parents. This would explain her father's decision to get her married to Paris without her permission was planned and discussed with the family, rather than such a big decision being simply made because he was drunk. Also in the scene, her father claims that she would want to get married, and it would help her to get over Tybalt's death. However, when Juliet tells him that she doesn't want to get married to Paris, he practically disowns her, telling her that if she doesn't act like his daughter, she should, quote, beg, starve, and die on the streets, in Act 3, Scene 5. This makes his initial offer to Paris of letting Juliet decide whether or not to get married to Paris disingenuous, further backing up how his idea to get married to Paris without his permission was not new and unplanned, but rather a thought-out and prepared decision.